Welcome to Volition Components. My name is Awning Gonzalez, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about these mobile office builds. One of the first things you'll notice when you get into the van is we actually installed a fold-down step. And one of the things you might know about a Ford Transit is the step can be a little bit high, especially from the ground to the first step. Now you can order the van with a side step, but it's even a little bit of a struggle to get into the van. So one of the things that we did is installed an aluminum folding step that comes down from the side of the van. One of the reasons we chose this one is because it's got a nice big wide step, which makes getting into the van really easy. And when you're ready to store the step, all you have to do is lift it up and slam it right into place. The unit will latch itself. As one of the features of being a mobile office, we installed these swivel seats that are actually really easy to work even while you're in the van. Unlike the Ford ones, you don't even have to open the door to turn the seat around. First you want to slide the seat forward, then just tilt it. There's a latch on the front that frees up the seat to turn around. And then you can just adjust the seat to whatever's comfortable for you. Right behind the driver's seat, you'll find an adjustable table from Lagoon. One of the things that you'll find on this stand is basically what works like a little wrench. You can disengage the wrench by pressing that button. That way, if you need to make more adjustments for tightening and loosening, you can do so without interfering with other parts of the table or the cabinet. And as you move back in the van, you'll notice the all aluminum cabinets from C-Tech. This van's cabinets are in black. The other one that we did have a nice gray color to them. Of course, solid surface countertops makes it nice and easy to clean and even sanitize. With all of the cabinets and the drawers, they have a latching mechanism that's real easy to use. If you want to open it, just pull and open. One thing to note on the refrigerator, just inside, you have a knob to control your temperature. So if you want your food colder or drinks colder, you can use it for that. You can also use it to turn the refrigerator completely off so that you're not pulling any power off the batteries if you're storing the van and not turning off the main power control. In your undersink cabinet, you'll notice an outlet on the right-hand side. That's actually powering your refrigerator and your WeBoost. And in order to get your fresh and gray water tanks out, there's 3 simple steps. Disconnect your power, disconnect your gray water, which is on the right, your fresh water, which is on the left. Pull them out, empty out your gray water, fill up your fresh, do everything in reverse, and you're all set to go. One thing you'll probably want to have handy is a towel, just in case whenever you disconnect the fresh water, you get a little bit of dripping onto the floor. To operate the sink, simply lift up the glass lid, lift up the faucet, which has a built-in switch, so there's no pump to turn on or off or worry about leaving on. Just click it back and you got water. Turn it off, move this guy back down, and close the lid, which also acts as extra counter space. And in this cabinet, you're going to find some additional storage. On the back side, if you look carefully, you'll see the brain for the WeBoost. WeBoost is a cellular booster that'll help strengthen your cellular signal inside the van. It has an antenna that can be pulled out to get a little bit closer to your devices. When you're done, just slide that extra slack back in. Down here, there's a little bit of storage for some odds and ends. Obviously, you'll see the wheel well behind there. Great spot for extension cords or rags or something like that. And back here is your biggest cabinet. You have 1, 2, 3 shelves, and obviously a big storage area at the bottom. Just above the wheel well cabinet, there's some USB outlets. You have USB 3.0, you have USB-C to turn those on. There's a little power button right there. Turn them back off, and the light goes off. Just above that, 120 volt outlets for you to be able to plug in devices. This one was put there for the TV. To release this guy, you'll see that it has a nice firm mounting. You just pull down on this cable, and then you can articulate your monitor. Just above the sink, we installed a multi-fold paper towel dispenser. Just turn the knob to open the door. Put your paper towels in. Turn the knob to shut it and pull. Moving down the counter, we have 2 more power outlets. Just below this one, an additional USB outlet, also with USB 3.0. Same thing, press the button to turn it on, press the button to turn it off, and just above those, you'll find the Dometic AC controller. This unit actually came installed with a heat pump, so you can use it for heating and cooling. To turn it on, press the power button, select what kind of mode, HP for heat pump, fan, off, and of course cool. Once you have the AC on, there's a number of different ways to direct airflow in this unit. The Dometic comes with side doors, front and rear doors that will push cold air in any direction you set it up. And of course you have what's called a dump that's on the bottom. Typically what you'd want to do is open up the dump when you first turn it on. Once you feel the air starting to get a little bit colder, you can close that door, and that'll start to force air throughout the rest of the van. As you'll notice, running throughout the van, we have a series of overhead cabinets. These cabinets on this end of the van are a little bit bigger, but operate the same way, same gas struts. You do want to be careful though. If you aren't cautious, you can slam the door shut. It's not going to hurt them. It's just a little noisy. Just on the inside of the sliding door, you'll see 2 switches on the end of the cabinet. One is for your overhead lights. The second one is for your under cabinet lights. Now those lights aren't going to turn on right away. What you're going to want to do is go to each one individually, press the button, and there's 2 levels of brightness on each. So you can go 1, 2, and then if you want them all the same, just hit those buttons. On this side, we actually have a 24-inch LED light bar. So plenty of light throughout this van. You might notice there's two lights that don't seem to work with the switch on the end that we showed you. These are actually your OEM lights. They're going to work with your sliding door and front door operation. You can also turn them on and off with the switch here on the overhead. On the passenger overhead cabinet, you'll find a microphone PA system that we installed. To use it, it's pretty simple. Turn it on. You can pair via Bluetooth to this unit, so you can play music. On the top of them, you'll find your microphone on and off switch. Turn that on. Turn your microphone on. For microphone volume, there's a knob on the left. For your music volume, that's just going to be the main knob. And of course you have your balance, bass, and treble. And then you can switch your sources right here. This box that you find on the passenger side of the vehicle, this is your electrical cabinet. You do have a main on and off switch. This is basically going to be your kill all. So if you're storing the van for the winter, or if you're not going to be using it for days or weeks and you're not going to be charging the batteries, you're going to want to go ahead and just turn this switch off. When you're ready to use the van, because you're going to put it into service, or you want to charge the batteries to get it ready to go out on service, you're going to go ahead and want to turn this switch back on. You'll hear some fans kick on if the inverter is on. That's normal. We did that for ventilation to make sure everything runs cool and operates well. This little guy down here, this is a BMS. This will give you all of the information about your batteries that's most important to you. How much current is coming in, how much current is going out, and how much charge is left on the battery, so your state of charge. It also tells you your voltage levels. There is a Bluetooth app from Victron Energy that allows you to be able to pull everything up on your phone and take a look at the whole system in general. This is your inverter controller. You have 3 switch positions. All the way to the left is charge only. So if you're not using the van and you want to charge the batteries, just flick it in that direction. In the middle, of course, is off. To the right is going to turn your inverter on. This little knob is how you're going to adjust your input current. So if you're somewhere where you don't have a 30 amp outlet and you're just plugging it into the wall, like in a garage or something like that, you're going to want to turn the inverter to 15 amps. And if you do have a 30 amp input, you can go ahead and crank that up. Now, one thing you always want to keep in mind is if you're plugging into a circuit where you might have something else on the circuit, like a refrigerator or a freezer that's going to also be drawing current, you might want to turn that down just a couple of amps just to make sure that you're not blowing your breaker inside the house or the facility that you're plugged into. The power control center, located just below your BMS and your inverter controller, has a pop-off door, and behind it you'll find all of your circuit breakers and your 12-volt fuses for pretty much everything electrical in here. So if something's not working, it might be your first place to check. Per this customer's request, we installed a flip-up table that they can sit their patients behind to be able to do various things while they're meeting with them. The table just latches in place, and to put it back down, you have a couple of buttons, and the table is stored. Right behind the flip-up table, you'll find another 120 volt outlet and another set of USB charger plugs. As I mentioned earlier, we do have some ventilation on these boxes. This vent is going to basically be where the air comes in, and then we have a vent on the back side that has a fan installed on it to pull air through the cabinet to keep all the electronics and the batteries cool. Inside of the cabinet, we installed a little surprise. You have flip-top lids where we put some extra storage. All you have to do is pull out these cabinets, and you'll have access to the electrical system. Inside of the electrical box, this van is equipped with a pretty complex electrical system. First and foremost, you have 2 24-volt batteries which supply a total of 400 amp hours of capacity. On the right side, you'll see the 3000 watt inverter, which supplies the air conditioning and all of the electrical outlets, and also acts as a charger for your batteries when you're plugged into shore. Just above it, there's a circuit breaker box to disconnect power from shore. To the left of those, you'll see DC to DC chargers. You have 3 12 to 24s for charging the batteries while you're driving, and 1 24 to 12 for supplying your 12 volts for all the electrical components that you use throughout the van, like your USB chargers. When it's time to use the awning, the crank handle is installed right under the passenger side overhead cabinet. In order to avoid scraping the top of the door, you're going to want to slide the door about halfway shut. If you have the step down, you can bump it up against it, or you can put the step up and shut the door all the way. Once you have the awning out, you can open the door back up, or you can leave it shut, whichever works best for you. This Fiamma awning is equipped with legs, so you can help hold the awning up and also secure it to the ground. First, you're going to want to slide the leg back and then turn it down. The one thing you don't want to do is crank on the legs while this piece is in place. You can then proceed to loosen this little wing nut and slide the awning up to your desired height. Tighten it back down and do the same thing on the other side. If you find that once you have the awning up, the material is a little bit loose, feel free to tighten it back up. That way water can drip down like it's supposed to. On the left rear quarter panel, just in front of the brake light, you're going to find your shore power plug. If you're not familiar with the different types of plugs, your traditional outlet extension cord, which is like the one you find at your house or your office, this is typically going to be a 15, at most 20 amp. Those plugs probably look really familiar. Now, if you've had a camper or an RV, you might be familiar with the 30 amp shore plug, which is what the van has on the side of it. We will be providing you with one of these cords, so you can use either connection. Plug it in, lock it in place. And if you want to see if it's charging, there's a little light on the cover to indicate that it has power.